What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is going to be your review for 90 Day Fiancé Season 9, Episode 8. So, let's start with Bilal and Shaida. So, Shaida decides that she does not want to go to Juma. Juma is the prayer that they go to on Friday. Remember, last time they went, that's when she bopped him in the head, and he threatened to put her ass out on the side of the road. So, by the time they got to Juma, he wasn't really speaking to her. He kind of left her by herself, and she felt some kind of way about it. So she said, listen, I ain't going this week because I need some me time. I need to process some things. And also, the last time we went, I was looking crazy. He ain't introduced me to nobody. He left me by myself. And it wasn't a fun time for me. And so, here he go with that condescending, I mean, we talked about this. She was like, we talked about it, yup, and I'm not going this week. I don't want to go. She said, listen, Jumba is required for you. It is not required for the women. It is required for the men. In Trinidad, if the women don't feel like going, the women don't go. She said, I'm feeling a little hormonal today. And I feel like that was a nice way of her telling him, I'm cramping. It's my time of the month. It's either PMS or post-MS, whatever. But he starts that condescending ass, I'm your daddy talk. And he's talking at her instead of talking to her, trying to get her to go and trying to convince her that she need to go. And basically, she stood her ground and she told him, listen, I said I ain't going. I hear you. And she even told him, she said, you do that. You talk at me. You don't talk to me. You talk at me. And I don't like that. I'm grown. We can have a conversation. We don't even have to agree. But you're not going to talk at me. You could talk to me. You're not going to talk at me. So she didn't go, right? She didn't go. But then later on that day, he comes back home and she had prayer. And she did, I forget the proper name, but where they have to wash before they do prayer. And child, she had water everywhere. Now, on this one, I'm kind of with Bilal on this one because it was water everywhere. It really was water everywhere. You could have wiped up the floor. You could have wiped off the counters. Like, you had been done. I could see if you did it and then you went and you had prayer. But once you got done with prayer, girl, you could have wiped your stuff up. But then she asked him to hand her something out of the drawer, and he gets mad because the silverware drawer is not organized the way he wants it organized. He had already fussed at her earlier because she had her pen in the couch, and she was like, I don't understand what the problem is. Like, that's normal for us. We put the pens. I'm sorry, the pens from our hijab. We do that all the time. We just put it in because we lose it. You know, we don't want to step on it. And he's talking about this couch is expensive. You know how much this couch costs? He just kept saying, do you know how much this couch costs? Do you know how much this couch costs? And she was like, no, I don't think I care. What's the big deal? Like, I don't care. And I was just like, she don't care. She don't care how much that couch costs. I think she kind of being clear about that. She don't care. But she was telling him about his OCD, and he was like, I don't have no OCD. And she was like, you absolutely have OCD. Now, I think this is a combination of the two. I think he got a little OCD, and I think she's sloppy. Because he was saying something about her leaving her clothes on the floor. You know, like wherever she steps out of her clothes, she leaves them there. He even said something about her underwear being on the floor. Now, listen, I don't care who you are. I don't care how cute you are, how sexy you are, whatever. Nobody wants to step over your drawers. You know, and I have a bad habit of doing that because I live alone. And I know if I ever got to the point where I was living with somebody, I would have to be very conscious of the fact that when I take my clothes off, they are literally right where I am. I just drop them right there until I get ready to put them in the laundry. And it might be the next day or the day after. But that's not bothering anybody but me because I live alone. And I do know that if and when, maybe when, don't know if it's an if, I ever live with somebody, I'm going to have to I know that that's something I'm going to have to work on. Anyway. So that was all we had with them, child. They didn't really do too much. So then we had Kobe and Emily. Ooh, Kobe and Emily, baby. Kobe decides that he's going to help around the farm because he needs to earn his keep. Even though he cannot technically work, he can give free labor. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to just leave it at that. It's very reminiscent of Brandon and old girl last season when they was down at the farm in Virginia and they had her cleaning and had chores and shit. So they go down to the stalls, and his mother is showing him how to shovel manure. Now, listen, the man never been around horses. He never shoveled manure. He said the closest he came was helping his uncle at his chicken farm, He said, but chickens' manure don't look the same. Well, they manure. But what chickens do don't look the same as what horses do, which is obvious. So he is trying to shovel out this manure, and Emily is, there she go with that nagging. She is fussing at him about how he's doing it. He's not doing it right. Why aren't you picking up enough? Why don't you do it this way? I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to how to tell you. Why won't you listen to me? And he kept telling her, please, let me do this. I got this. I'm doing it my way. Like, I feel like he said it about 3 or 4 times very nicely. And then finally, she's still talking about, well, don't you want to spend time with me? I mean, if you go faster, you'll be done faster, and then we can go do something together. I mean, she was just, and then finally he turned around and he was like, will you shut the hell up? He might have said the F up, but neither here nor there. He did tell her, I think it was F up. He did tell her, shut the F up. And then she turns into a Karen. Now all of a sudden she's the victim. How dare you talk to me like that? I can't believe you said that to me. I can't believe you talked to me like that. And she goes huffing off, back up to the house. I'm like, fine, I won't say nothing. That's what you should have done the first 3 times he asked you to leave him alone. Because he was very nice the first 3 times. That 3rd, 4th time, he was like, shut the F up. But I feel like that's not where he started. Okay, he didn't start at shut the F up. He started with, I got this. He started with, let me do this. He started with, okay, I get it. Let me do it my way. And then her mom was talking about well, I know sometimes Emily can be a little forceful, but, I mean, my husband would never talk to me like that. But would you have talked to your husband like she was talking to him? Would you have nagged your husband and been ding, yin, 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 in your husband's ear the way she was up in his ear? No, probably not. See, what we're not going to do is tell half the story. So, of course, that turned into a whole thing. And the mama was mad. The mama ended up telling the daddy. That's in the next episode, child. We'll get to that. And the daddy mad. But listen, y'all not going to be telling half stories and making Kobe look like he wrong. Now, I ain't saying Kobe perfect, but in this situation, Kobe wasn't wrong. He tried to tell her leave him alone. Sometimes you just got to get up off me. So anyway, he comes back upstairs later on to apologize. And again, because he's like, hey, babe. That's not how you talk to me. That's not how you, and they had this whole conversation about how he should address her. And I'm going to give him credit. He stood his ground. I mean, he apologized, but he also said, but you should have just let me do it my way. Like, you shouldn't be talking to me the way you talk to me. And he even tried to tell his mom, like, listen, maybe this is just how American women talk to their men, but I'm not used to that. I'm not used to the disrespect. I'm not used to all of that. Like, because again, it's not what she's saying to him. It is how she is talking to him. And no, it's not an American woman. Well, I guess to a certain extent it is an American woman thing. But it is an Emily thing. And her family let her talk crazy. They told you that in the first episode. That first night you were there, they told you who was in charge. Emily is in charge. The one who don't have no job, who is living with them, but she running the household. They told you that. So, it is what it is, child. It is what it is. So then we have Jabri, I can never say his name right, and Miona. They're in Chicago. They get to Chicago and they meet up with David, who is his bandmate / best friend. Now listen, I think I might have, baby, he said that him and David have been best friends ever since David beat his ass and put him in a coma. He said that that David was new to the school and he made fun of him because he had the weird accent, and David basically whipped his ass, and he said he was in a coma for 3 days. And then he started dating this Serbian chick, and come to find out it was his twin sister, and so that's when they became friends. I don't know if I could ever be friends with somebody that put me in a coma for 3 days in high school. Bruh. Okay. So they meet up, and listen, this scene was clearly very produced because it was just weird. It was no flow to it. But ultimately, what we found out in this scene is that, one, David started a trucking company during the Panorama, and Jabril actually got his CDL license and was actually driving for the company until he decided that he wanted to focus on his relationship with Miona, aka he wanted to go and spend as much time in Serbia as he could spend and travel the world instead of like being like a responsible adult and take a job. And David was like, listen, you can do both. Like, it's cool. I get it. I understand that you wanted to be with your boo thing. You wanted to have your relationship. You was in love. That was great. But you say you want to do all these things. You want to have a nice wedding. You want to move out your parents' house. I'm just saying I got a job for you. And, Jabril was like, well, there are other ways to make money, and that's not it. And I see that the money has changed you. He was like, the money ain't changed me. I'm just saying you can still make money and still be creative. Because, see, Jabril is on that bull hockey about I'm a creative and I'm this and that and that. He talking about something. There's more than one way to make money. And, and he said, well, you said you didn't want to work so you could spend more time to focus on your art, but yet you're not sending me no music. So, like, you're not doing it. And his attitude, he feels like the reason why Jabril is not focused and not doing these things is because of his relationship with Miona, and that's why he don't really rock with her like that. And her thing was, well, why would you want him to do something he doesn't like? Because that's what life is about. I am not saying that people should be unhappy. Like, I think people should do what makes them happy, but I also think that if you're a responsible adult and if you have responsibilities, there's certain things you have to do that ain't always going to be fun. That's not always going to make us happy. At the end of the day, there are times when I love my job and there are times when I hate my job, but I know I got bills to pay, and until I find that next job that is going to pay what I need to pay or help me live the way I need to live because I have responsibilities, then I got to do what I got to do. And I feel like that's what David is trying to tell Jabril. Like, listen, we're still in the band, we're still making music, and when we hit it big, we gonna leave all of this alone. But in the meantime, and in between time, we gotta we gotta pay bills, and you were making good money driving trucks. It's not like I wasn't paying you minimum wage, bruh. So I was with David in that conversation. And then he tried to make it out that it was all about Miona. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm starting to feel like it's just as much Jabril as it is Miona. I don't feel like... Now, I think Miona is cool with it. And I think she probably encourages it. Like when he calls her and says, hey, I just quit my job and I'm going to come and see you. I don't feel like she tells him, no... You gotta take care of this, you gotta take care of that until it's time for her to want something like this beach wedding that you want. See, had he kept driving trucks and had he kept working throughout the panorama, he'd be able to afford this beachside wedding that you want. You see what I'm saying? You see how one thing connects to the other thing? 2 + 2 = 4 all day long, okay? Moving on. So they end up going into the studio and the song, No, that's the next episode. See, I be getting ahead of myself. See, that's why I don't like watching more than one episode at a time, because then I be blending stuff. But anyway, at the end of the episode, they do go to the studio, and him and Jabril end up getting into a fight in the studio. And I'm going to be honest with you, that fight didn't look like somebody that put you in a coma 3 years ago. Now, maybe he just holding back and he ain't really want to hurt you, but that looked like a whole little wrestling match. I ain't seen no punches thrown. I ain't really see nothing. But Jabril then admits that he was upset because he is feeling pressure and he is feeling some kind of way about the whole situation with Miona, because they have a time limit to get married and she wants this beach wedding. Now, mind you, while they doing this, she back at the hotel calling resorts, getting prices and getting estimates, and she keeps being told that the timeline is too tight, which means they're going to end up spending a lot of money. Because if they do end up finding a place that can accommodate them, they're going to charge them for this timeline. Anyway, that's them, child. So, Evie and Muhammad, child, so they go to the mosque, right? Now, again, Evie, some of this stuff, see, the thing I like about what I do with these couples is I got to take it situation by situation. Now, you took the man to the mosque so that he could, do what he need to do with his religion. And he talking about her wearing her hijab, and she's like, I have to wear hijab. Girl, stop acting like you don't know. Yes, you have to wear hijab. It doesn't mean you Muslim. It just means that when you go into their place of worship, that is what is expected. And if you don't have one, they will have one there for you. They will have something there for you. And the lady was really nice because, of course, as soon as they went in, they separated the men and the women. And they had a woman with her that showed her how to wash up to get ready to pray. They had slippers for her to put on. Showed her how to pray, when to kneel, when to sit up, when to cross her arms. Like, showed her all of that stuff. So you ain't really have no reason to be mad. Because, again, you knew the man was Muslim. And he's clearly devoutly Muslim until it comes to having sex. But that's another conversation. So stop acting like this is something you didn't know, you weren't prepared for, that was new for you. Like, you knew all of these things. None of this should be a surprise to you, girl. Now, my problem with Muhammad is he wants her to convert. And he was like, well, I need somebody that's going to cater to my needs. And basically, if she were a Muslim woman, she would understand what that means and what that looks like. And she would be devoted to supporting my needs. And I wouldn't really have to go through a whole lot of these other arguments and these other fights because she'd be ready. She tells him, well, I mean, I hear what you're saying and everything, but I have absolutely no intention of converting. So that's going to be their conflict. That's the problem. She was like, I have no intention of converting anything. Child. Is that this episode? Child, I got my notes, honey. No, we got a few more. Okay, hold on. Who else we got? Bimmy, child. So Bimmy, they done found him an MMA gym, and he goes in. He does like a an assessment, and the guy's like, hey, he's pretty good. You know, he's got some great fundamentals. You know, we got to do this, we got to do that. He says, you know, I need him to be here XYZ amount of days. He has to be committed. He has to, you know, put in the work. And so we find out that he's been going to the gym on a regular basis. And so she shows up at the gym, and he's working out with another woman, and she totally loses it. I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't believe that scene. I think that's one of those contrived scenes because she is not a great actress. But she's like, why didn't you tell me you were working out with a woman? And why didn't you this and why? And basically to the point where they got put out the gym. Now, I don't know if he's going to be able to come back or not. But they were like, y'all got to go. Y'all got to get out this gym. And she is really mad. Talking about, you didn't tell me you were working out with a woman. You should have told me you were working out with a woman. Now, I'm going to be honest. To a certain extent, I think she got a point. Because when she walked up in there, they really were looking all crazy because they was wrestling around and, you know. But, girl, don't nobody want Bimmy. I shouldn't say that. Bimmy's a nice looking guy. I shouldn't say nobody want him. So, then we get to Patrick and Thais. So, Patrick and Thais, they're moving to Dallas. Now, remember, he said that they eventually were going to move, but he had to push up his timeline because the opportunity sort of came up faster than he thought it was. So they had to push up the timeline. So they're packing up the house. And they, of course, she doesn't want the brother to move with them. And he was like, listen, I thought I explained to her why I need John, why John is so important, why where I am in my life right now, I need John to be there for me. The other thing I disagreed with him on was he bought the house without consulting her. Like, she didn't get a chance. She didn't know anything about the house they were moving to. Now, he said, I don't know if I think they're renting it. I don't think he actually bought the house. But I feel like that was something he could have included her in. Because you weren't physically driving to Dallas every time your realtor or whoever you were going through showed you a house. You were looking at pictures online. You know, I feel like he could have sent her the link to realtor.com or whatever website you were using. And let her look at these houses and let her have some input. Especially if this is where she's going to be living. And y'all are going to get married. I felt like you could have done that. But she didn't know anything. They were moving sight unseen. And so they get to the new house and she doesn't really like it. And not only does she not really like it, but John has already gotten there before them. And he started unpacking and he has started putting furniture in certain places. And again, as a woman, she's the woman of the house. I feel like her complaints were valid as far as that's concerned. Now, again, the way in which she chose to express her discontent was a little bit much. I feel like there was a better way that she could have said it, and it ended up pissing Patrick off because he was like, yo, this house is bigger than the last house. Like, this house is bigger than the house that we had, and she's acting like it's a shoebox. She's acting like it's small, and you know, and he's got all this space or whatever. But sometimes you can have more square footage, but the way in which it is parceled out, it doesn't look the same. Like in their last house that they had, it was one level. So it looked like it was a lot more space because it was one level. This house is upstairs, downstairs. And they're upstairs. And she was talking about how her closet was bigger at the other house and all of that. But again, some of those are valid. Like, if you feel, it may be more square footage, but if I don't see it, the square footage could be in the pantry. Like, that doesn't help me when I had a bigger closet. I like the house better. So, again, I feel like some of her argument was valid, but I feel like the way in which she chose to express her argument might be the problem. Anyway, that's that. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.